Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And our attention is drawn once again to the massive affair at the heart of the SNP between the two people who we think are involved. Now, obviously, still can't say for sure that it is, for example, Humza Yousaf and, for example, Anam Kazir. But, of course, that's what everyone thinks. And there's nothing wrong in speculation, as long as you make it clear it is just speculation, which, of course, it is. However, it does need to be investigated. And who says that? Well, everyone, of course. But who in particular? Well, it's a former police chief. And he says that given the circumstances and the fact it broke the law, it absolutely, positively needs a formal police investigation. But will it happen? Well, since the new police chief is in the pocket of the SNP and Dorothy Bain sits in the cabinet, it seems unlikely. But that's the problem when you lack any kind of justice in Scotland. But we'll take a look at this, see what he's saying, and see why he, like us, thinks there should be an investigation into these two. Let's have a look. Here goes. So, former police chief says lockdown claims in SNP affair should be investigated. Now, as someone who was a senior police officer saying this, it makes you wonder why the current head of the police isn't thinking similar things. But obviously, having broken the law herself and thieved from the public purse, she may not want to be sort of starting in on the party that's so easily able to protect her from losing her job for theft. But anyway, another public figure has addressed lockdown cheating allegations that hit the SNP after a spouse went on record. The husband of whom we believe, and who may well be, possibly Anam Kazir, who has subsequently received threats from both her family and the party to keep his mouth shut because, hey, you know, they spent a lot of money trying to get certain people into power, all those little brown envelopes filled with cash. They don't want to waste all that money by seeing this particular woman lose her job. That wouldn't do at all, would it? That's not pushing the agenda. Anyway, a former police chief has claimed officers should investigate the allegation that two SNP politicians continued an affair into the pandemic and broke lockdown rules. Indeed, harsher, broke lockdown laws. They were breaking the law. Tom Buchan, former president of the Association of Scottish Police Superindents, has become the latest figure to publicly address the story. He said those involved should be held accountable if rules were broken. And I wish they'd stop using the word rules and start using the word laws. Because it was the law. They made it a law in Scotland. And there's been people who have subsequently lost their jobs, lost their positions because they broke the law. One only has to see all those people having affairs during lockdown, all those people having parties at number 10 during lockdown, all those people travelling through lockdown, breaking the law. They all lost their jobs. Matt Hancock, Boris Johnson, Margaret Ferrier, they all lost their jobs. And of course, that is why all the denials are coming out, because they know if anything other than complete and utter denial of reality, Humza Yousaf would have to lose his job. Anam Kazir would have to lose her job. If it is indeed these two, which we're not saying it is. Got to protect myself. Bear with me. Anyway, his statement comes after the SNP broke their silence and brushed off the claims as rumours. Just because they're rumours doesn't mean they're not true. And they said that it's categorically untrue. They said, but we know the SNP from long experience. We know they lie about everything. So the moment they deny that it's categorically untrue and says untrue, we know it's absolutely, probably true. The former Tory leader, Ruth Davidson, said the identities of those involved are unlikely to stay secret for long. Well, they aren't really, are they? We all know. I mean, we all know we know, but we just aren't officially know. But we know. One of the spouses involved spoke out, telling press that the affair wrecked his marriage and that detailed his fear of going public because of the repercussions on his family. He also said he was relieved the story was out there. The spouse claimed the secret relationship continued during the COVID pandemic in 2020. Mr. Buchan told the Daily Mail, if it is the case that these two conducted an illicit and illegal affair when the rest of us were having to live under the strictest lockdown restrictions, then it is only right they be held accountable and prosecuted and forced to resign. But let us make one little aside here. Let us not be distracted by this to not continue to investigate all the others. Let's not use this as a distraction to try and protect, for example, Michael Matheson. There's none of it. We can't let any of them off the hook. So we have to push for everything and make sure that nothing gets lost or swept under the carpet. Anyway, he continued. He said, no one cares about the affair. That should be of no interest except for the spouses and the immediate families involved. But what is of public interest is the utter hypocrisy of some of these politicians demanding that we stay at home, follow the rules, wear masks and socially distance, while they were completely ignoring the rules themselves imposed on everyone else. I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to say that it isn't just a matter of the families and the spouses. I'm going to say it is a matter of public interest, because if you are having a woman promoted, pushed, advanced beyond her skills and experience simply because of her, say, indulgences with a senior member of the party, that means a woman is being imposed on people and put into power over people, not because she's able and capable, but simply because she provides a whole. That is of public interest. She says, I think people are heartily sick of politicians setting the rules for us while they think they need not apply it to them. As the COVID inquiry is revealing, they were decent law-abiding people left isolated, tormented, psychologically tortured and killed, let's make sure that's in there, because of how strict the lockdowns were. Many could not see loved ones, family, friends for many months on end, and many couldn't even say goodbye to loved ones in hospital or even attend funerals to pay their last respects. And yet these two felt quite able, to leave their little bubbles of family and go find a sordid, dirty little hotel room and shag each other senseless, breaking all the laws because they exist on a higher plane. They exist above the law. We do not have the same rights and freedoms that they do because we are not the good and powerful. They're hypocritical, two-faced bastards, and every single one of them needs to be prosecuted for as many things as we can prosecute them for. And none of this, you'll serve all your different things, different punishments at the same time. No, you do 10 years for this, 5 years for that, 3 years for that, but you serve them consecutively, not at the same time. You want to do, and if you have to do 30 years, 40 years, the rest of your life in prison, I would not lose a single night's sleep over it. And he said, the irony is these rules were set by politicians, so any politician who flouts them should be thoroughly investigated, and if found to have breached them, then they must be held accountable. There should be at least 2 investigations, one by the police and at least another by the parliamentary officials, either at Holyrood or Westminster. It's got to be Westminster. You can't trust Holyrood. In order for democracy to function, it has to be seen to be impartial. Not in Scotland. Scotland, where the police chief is in the pocket of the SNP, and where the head of justice system sits on the cabinet of the SNP. What justice do you expect there to be? Nothing to see here. Not in the public interest. We're not investigating. It's all right. Carry on fucking. Because that's what it is. Although the affair seems to have petered out, because apparently he's got interest in other areas now. One only has to look at where he went, whom he went to Dubai with. And it was very telling they went out on separate flights and they're coming back on separate flights so as not to make it too bleeding obvious. Dearie, dearie me. It's all there, isn't it? All this immorality, this ethical shithole that the SNP finds itself in because there's no rules. And him being a good Muslim, you'd have thought, wouldn't you? I do hope, though, his constant calls for Islam being great and everything, that they are held to Sharia law and both of them are punished under Sharia law, just to show them how wonderful Islam truly is. And with her being married, of course, I looked this up, and apparently the punishment for her, if it's true, under Sharia law, let's just say it isn't good. It isn't good for either of them. But hey, they're the ones wanting to push this, so let them have it. Anyway, he said, this police superintendent said, this is ultimately about being able to trust our politicians. I'm just going to stop and look at the camera there, and I'm going to leave you a few seconds. Right, you've had a few seconds just to go over the trust our politicians. I wouldn't trust a politician as far as I could comfortably spit a rat. He said, this is not about party politics, this is about law, fairness and accountability. There is a lot of party politics though, it's the SNP, everything about them is party political. The SNP statement said, we are well aware of the rumours being reported in the media concerning two particular politicians, who may or may not be Humza Yousaf and Anam Kazir, which first circulated in February. No substantiation for these rumours has ever been offered, very simply because the allegations are categorically untrue. Perhaps you should go and tell the husband who's getting divorced from his wife that this is not true. Otherwise, I have a feeling that when the divorce papers go through, if he names who we all know he's going to name, then of course that statement is untrue. But we don't believe anything from the SNP because we know they are forever and habitually lying. They lie so much that even if they tried to tell the truth, we just don't believe them. Deary, deary me. He's right. It needs a full investigation. It needs two. One by the police, but not Police Scotland. An outside force. And it needs an investigation by Westminster, not Holyrood. And then they need to be nailed to a wall. Shown to be what they are. Forced to resign. Prosecuted. Jailed. And have everything removed. They lose pensions. They lose everything. And screw them. Send the message. You break the rules. You pay the fine. Coming up, I think we're getting very close to the time where I can stop saying allegedly and maybes and things like that, because it is all over Twitter, it's all over, international papers are saying names. It's just in this country, no mainstream newspaper is naming them, the BBC, ITV, local radio. No one's actually naming the names out loud. I am. But I'm saying speculation, rumour has it that, it is thought bit that, and in my opinions, and things like that. You have to use this sort of circulatory language, because obviously I can't make a statement of fact. I daren't, you understand this. But speculatory comment is allowed. One can inquire if it is, is it, asking questions, and that's all very fine and pleasant. You're allowed to do that. But I think we all know, and I think it's about time that the truth came out. But of course it won't come from the SNP. The truth to the SNP is something they've never really encountered. They don't like it because they know every single time, and I say this repeatedly, the truth destroys them. But if they have broke the law, which we all kind of think we know they have, then they must pay the price. There's no point sitting there pontificating on what we could and couldn't do during lockdown while they just go off, break the law, and have no consequences visited upon them. I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button. Do please hit the like button. And I will speak to you later. Bye.